Hi. I am an eternally youngish person who has discovered midlife that I have Asperger syndrome. People have asked me what it is like to find out at this point in life. I will tell you some of the things I have learned and how I realize now that my many accurate memories since childhood can be seen as indicators of my being on the autism spectrum. I can also remember and explain what it is like to think and feel the way that I do. To explain how I appear to others, my neurotypical friend has kindly agreed to help out.
Hi.
That intrusive and loud clock chime always disturbs my thoughts. It bothers me every time that we run through this script.
Hon? Oh, I hadn't noticed. Funny, it doesn't bother me. I love the chiming clock.
Anyway, where were we? The first thing you should note is that I'm gesturing and intoning because I am acting in a movie.
She doesn't do this so much in real life. The closest similarity is her computer-generated voice.
Unusual prosody is typical of Aspergers. That is why this medium is perfect for telling you my story.
But even her computer-generated voice that you're hearing is often more expressive than her real speech when she gets interested in a subject and runs on. Here I sound to you much more robotic than I do in real life, but she comes across as more neurotypical.
When I was a kid, no one around me knew about Asperger. I was taught a lot of social rules with little leeway for deviation. My parents were caring and attentive, as were the teachers at my small school. As a result, even though my classmates did begin to call me weird, when I grew up I turned out adept enough to be seen as merely eccentric by some. However, the effort to fit in exhausts me and I have a great need for sleep. Everyone who knows me well has always noticed this.
Yes, she gets sleepy so often.
I also have always been sensitive to light.
That's right. She is always dimming the lights in the house. At least this room doesn't have obnoxious fluorescent overhead lights, so she's not wearing a hat or tinted glasses.
Each person with Asperger's is unique and different. We may share common traits, but have them to varying degrees. In my case, it was immediately apparent since I was still a toddler that I was an artist. I also hear and remember music I have heard earlier in life, in the correct key, and can self-teach how to play instruments that I encounter. I also see colors for musical notes and keys. This is called synesthesia. I pick up the rules and sounds of foreign languages and scripts quickly and intuitively. And I have a memory that seems to shock most neurotypicals whom I meet.
I've always thought her memory is astounding. These are all positive talents.
There are other aspects of my being that I have learned are not unusual on the spectrum. I have always understood and communicated with animals, who are my steadfast friends, especially when things go poorly with people. I love swimming and being underwater, even in a bath or hot tub, and watching an aquarium. I feel and look as if I am much younger than my birth date would indicate. Then there are the downsides, such as being clumsy in team sports when I was compelled to take them at school. Taking karate later in life helped me a lot. The most pervasive and devastating problem is with things that make it harder for me to socialize well than it is for neurotypicals. My brain is just wired differently.
I always noticed that she tends to take what I say literally and believe whatever people tell her. This was a clue that she has Asperger's.
If people are not explicit, I may not be able to tell what they are thinking or feeling, whether they are bored with or interested in me or what I'm saying, if they are joking or not, or mad at me or not. This is all incredibly exhausting. Of course, it is also sad when I want to be friends with people but have trouble in this area. Aspie is also to be naive and assume that everybody is as honest and upfront as we normally are by nature. This can be dangerous in life if an Aspie is not surrounded by trustworthy people.
The main problem is that she hasn't been aware of this for most of her life. She still sometimes cannot tell when what she is thinking is not what others are thinking. I and her friends try to point this out to her to be helpful.
And I appreciate it. I have been grateful to and gravitating to certain successful neurotypicals in life, but did not realize exactly why. I'm one of those Aspies who is able to be a chameleon, unconsciously picking up mannerisms of people around me to try to fit in.
This medium is also ideal because she gets to talk about herself and run on and on. I'm merely adding footnotes.
There are other difficulties that became apparent when schoolwork started to focus more on abstract concepts and require high organizational skills and time management. Other things required in adult life and independent living still feel to me as if I'm a child mystified at how people manage unless someone shows me the steps. I may be able to get help for these life skills and perhaps empathy coaching through the local Aspergers organization.
Sometimes we wonder why she is stressed about having to do something that seems a no-brainer to us neurotypicals. She used to try to muddle through on her own without asking for help.
Yes, we have trouble asking for help. I was also trying not to let down people who had high expectations for me because they consider me gifted. But my brain will continue to process things differently than neurotypical brains do, for the rest of my life. So, there will always be incidents in the future for which I do not act properly by instinct.
She always speaks so distinctly and grammatically correctly. Can you tell our guests how it felt to find out that you have a type of autism?
My experience is not uncommon to those diagnosed later in life, as is corroborated by some studies that you are free to look up. Basically, I have settled into a combination of relief and resignation. The relief is from realizing, aha, I knew I was different, and it's not my fault. There is simultaneously dismay at realizing, you mean this is lifelong and will never get better? I have both these reactions.
That must be strange to process.
Yes, especially as we Aspies tend to need extra time to process things. The more I learned about characteristics of autism, the more so much made sense.
It sounds like learning about Aspergers and autism is your new special interest.
Yes, what else can I do? Now I no longer feel outside pressure to ignore some of my best creative talents or seek out neurotypical pursuits that just aren't me. Well, thank you for sharing your NT perspective.
You're welcome. By the way, you know those antlers are not quite the fashion for female deer?
Yes, but they are comfortable to wear. Now would you like to learn about setting up the proper Southeast Asian biotope tank for inducing spawning in species of betas? Don't worry. I am only joking. That's for next time.